This is a little tutorial to show one way of resetting data that is generated within a document. And the situation here is simulating the rolling of two dice and looking at the sum. The sample size can be controlled here on this first notes page, so I can change that to a different value if I wanted to do more than 20 samples at a time. On this page, a histogram, a density histogram, is generated. And so each time I click on sample, it takes more samples, and in this case 20 at a time. If I did a frequency histogram, the window wouldn't change automatically, and so what I would tend to do is set up a graphing page and do a what looks like a histogram instead of the built-in data and statistics app. But that is for another tutorial. For our purposes right now, I'd like to be able to reset this data. Otherwise, all I can do is just keep adding more. And so if I want to start fresh, what I would like to do is set up another clicker, one over here, that I can use to reset the data. So here's how we can do that. I'm going to insert a slider. And I'll move it over in this direction, and I'll just call it reset. Now for settings, I'm going to start with a value of 1. My min and max don't really matter, just as long as they go somewhere on either side of 1, and you'll see why in a minute. I usually use 0 and 2 with a step size of 1. I'll keep it horizontal, but I will minimize it and do not show the variable. Okay, so there's my little clicker, which is a little bit tricky, but I can move it over to the right, and then I am going to insert a text box just so that I can label this so that it's clear what that clicker is for. And while I'm here, I might as well pin that in place. Okay, so right now, as I click on this, nothing happens, but notice it can go between 0 and 2. So what I can do, this page is just a page to indicate that this page and the next page, the program page, can be deleted. I will be leaving this page in the document so that if you want to look at the program of it, you can. So right now I have the program which generates the sample, and it just simply goes through a simple routine depending upon what the sample size is, and it builds a list called results. So what I'd like to do is to be able to set that results list back to an empty set. And here's how I can do that. My slider was called reset. Now, if I say what happens if it is no longer equal to 1, this will happen if I click to the right or to the left of that clicker, because I will have it set at 1. If it changes from 1, either by clicking right or left, then it will generate this little subroutine. And all I want in this subroutine is to set the results back to empty and close off my list. Now, or my routine. A couple more things I need to do here. One is my reset clicker is now no longer at 1. It's either at 0 or 2, depending upon which way I clicked it. So I'm going to set it back to 1 so that it's ready for the next reset. The other thing I'm going to do is, because I've done this inside the making of a sample program, I don't want it to carry on past that and start generating a new sample. So I'm going to tell it to stop at this point so that it does not go any further. I could have created this reset in a separate program altogether. That presents some advantages and disadvantages, but I won't go into all of those right now. But I will say that I usually do my reset program separately. But in this case, it worked out well to do it inside. I save the program by pressing Control B. Now when I come back to this page, if I click on reset, then all my data is gone. I can now start generating a new set of samples according to my sample size, and when I feel I want to do it again, I can just click reset. So whether you are using a data and statistics page or a spreadsheet, however you are assembling your data, however you are generating your data, the simple routine for resetting that data is to use a variable called reset, which is a clicker, and when it changes, set that list back to nothing. And you can have more lists and set those all back to nothing. There are many other uses of this reset slider, which I may cover in future tutorials. So that's it. I will leave this program in its current state, available at the same place you see this video on my blog site. Hope you enjoy, and if you have any questions, please email me.